Hello everyone, today I'm gonna be showing you how to install Squid and how to integrate Squid with the Active Directory from Windows Server 2008 R2. So I will be using CentOS, the 6.4 version of it. First of all, as you can see, this is a fresh installation. So I will first of all upgrade it because this one is the 6.3 version, as you can see on the top. First of all, if you don't know how to do this, you need to be sure that you can navigate on the internet and resolve domain names from the internet hosts. Um, so to do that, you need to ping any address, let's say google.com. So you can see I cannot resolve any um, domain name. So I will have to go to the resolve.conf file, and I need to configure the DNS, the name server here. I know that my name server is 50.2 and the secondary is 2.242.2. Okay, so it is configured already. Let's see if I can ping Google now. Great. So now I can ping Google. So let's start by upgrading the system I got here. Oh, so it is gonna take a while because as you can see it is 114 megabytes that it's going to be downloading. So I'm gonna pause the video here and I will be back as soon as the update is finished. Okay, so the system finally finished updating, and as you can see I have now the CentOS 6.4 version. Um, right now I have the minimal install mode, meaning that I do not have the graphical unit interface, and but it is like the same thing working on the command line interface and the graphical unit interface, because all the commands to install and to perform the actions we need to perform, you have to open a terminal to do them, to use those commands. So um, I will be working on the command line interface. Okay, so first of all I'm going to be installing Squid. The Squid version I'm going to be using is the 3.1, I think it is. You should probably see it somewhere in the installation process. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video while the installation process is being performed to make the video shorter. Okay, so the installation process has been completed. As you can see, we have the Squid 3.1.10 version. Um, and another way to see that the Squid is installed in our system is by running this command. where you can see that the package Squid 3.1.10 is installed. Oh shit. Okay, so let's continue the installation process of Squid. First of all, we need to make sure that Squid is not running. And it is stopped. Okay, before starting with the configuration of Squid, let's move to the Windows Server machine so I can explain what is the requirements that you need to make sure you have on your Windows Server Active Directory. Um, we need a user with the privileges of reading all users' information, and we need to create our organizational unit where we are going to store the groups, the Active Directory groups, which will define the navigation privileges of each user. So I already installed the Active Directory console on the domain I created. Is called mydomain.local. This server name is dc1.mydomain.local. The IP address of this server is going to be 242.138, which is the internal network of my, it will represent the internal network. Okay, so I created an organizational unit called Proxy. You can create an organizational unit with the name you want, but in this case I called it Proxy, where I created three groups. These groups will represent um, the navigation privileges of each user. As you can see, level 1 in this case will have like a restricted access. Level 2 we have um, more unrestricted access than level 1, and level 3 will have full access to the internet. However, that's up to you to organize them as your company requires it. This is the user I created, which will have the privileges to read all users' information and group memberships. To do that, you need to create a user, the standard procedure of creating a user, and then you need to delegate control to that user. We are going to add Squid or whatever the name of the user you created, and we are going to delegate the read all users information and this read all init org person information. Okay, this is basically it. We need to make sure that I can ping this Active Directory server. Okay, so there is communication between the Active Directory and CentOS. So first of all, before configuring Squid, I want to show you the directories that you will be using, that Squid uses, and that you must know what they are and how they works. First of all, we have the directory, which is etc squid. This directory is the main configuration file, is where the main configuration file of a squid is, which is the squid .conf file, which you can see right here. So that is the configuration file that you will be modifying to tell Squid which access rules it will be implementing and other configuration parameters. The other one is var log squid, which is a configuration file where which is where Squid will save the access logs, the cache log, and option logs. Here is where you need to check the access logs and the cache log for any errors that you might find while operating in Squid. Right now, there's no files on it because Squid hasn't run even once. So when we run Squid, you will find these files I'm talking about right here. The other directory we are gonna be using, which is basically the most important, is the USR LIB. Now, depending on the architecture of your system, it will be 64 or LIB without the 64. In my case, the installation of CentOS I got is a 64-bit architecture, so the files will be on the lib64 directory. And here we can see the what we call helpers of a Squid. What is a helper? A helper is um, a program that will interact with the Squid and an external entity to authenticate. As you can see, there are many options, many programs. The ones we will be using are Squid LDAP Auth and Squid LDAP groups. What these programs basically do is that they check an information obtained from any source, and they are going to compare it in this case with an LDAP server or Active Directory server. And this one, the LDAP group, will compare a membership. It will verify the membership of an user with a group of an LDAP server. And there are many other options like the WB info group. This is with the Winbind package and the Samba package, and they do the same. These one do the same actions as this one, the Squid LDAP group. And there are many other options that you can then later on verify by yourself. But in this tutorial, we are gonna be using these two. Okay, so how do I test that my program, my helper, is working fine? Before doing anything, we need to test them, and the way to do that is by using the command echo to give these helpers some information about um, what they will be using to compare. For example, I'm gonna be testing the LDAP authorization program first, and what this helper needs is a username and a password. These are the users I just created here: Anthony, John, and Maria. The users are exactly the name Anthony, John, and Maria, and the password are the numbers from 1 to 6. So let's try that. I'm going to be testing Anthony with the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to be using a pipe to direct this information, Anthony 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to the helper, which is located on the USR um, lib64 squid squid LDAP auth. Okay, so that's the program, but the program needs some extra information to communicate with the LDAP server. Like for example, the username it will be using to authenticate, where is the user located, the password, and some other information. So first we need to specify which is the domain that we'll be using. I mean, where this user Anthony is. For that we write this. My domain is called my domain dot local. So this from here to here, we are specifying the domain name. Now with this command, okay, with this we are telling Squid which one, I mean the helper, what is the user and where is the user located, which organizational unit, and which domain is that user from. Okay, here we're telling the password of this user, which has privileges to read all the user's information. Remember to type everything as I'm typing here, because if you miss a comma or any sign, this helper is not gonna work. And as well, remember to specify the organizational unit, the domain, the username, the password correctly. Okay, and here, what we're telling Squid, I mean the helper, is that it's going to be using the user that we specified first, and it will compare that information with this server, which is the our Active Directory server. So if everything is okay, if I didn't miss any parameter, it should respond okay or error. Okay, it seems that there is an error. So let's see what is the problem here. Mm, yeah, I found the problem. It is supposed to be a name here. Okay, as you can see, it is very important to type everything correctly, because if you don't type everything that it should be, there will be an error message and the helper is not gonna work. So it returns with an OK, saying that the user Anthony and that password for the user Anthony is okay. What happens if I specify another password, like for example, wrong password? It's gonna return a message saying error, because that is not the password for the user Anthony. And let's try with the user Maria and John, which are created as well. their passwords are the same. Okay, and let's try Maria. Okay, so the three users that we have are being authenticated using the helper that Squid has, the Squid LDAP authorization helper, which means that we are good. This is the first step to configure Squid with the authentication process with the Active Directory. Now we need to test the other helper, which is the Squid LDAP group authenticator. And to do that, the command is a little bit more differently. For example, we are using the same process, echo. Now here, instead of a password, we need to write a group name. Remember that I told you before that my groups are called level 1, level 2, and level 3. You name them as you want, as you wish. So here Maria is the member of the level 1, level two's member is John, and level three's member is Anthony. So let's see, Maria is part of level 1. As in the other helper, we need to specify where this helper is located. Okay, the first lines are the same. We need to specify what is the domain where this user and group are. We need to specify what is the user that can read information out of every user. The organizational unit and the domain. The password. And now is where it gets more differently. Okay, so this is the command. Here is where the command is differently for the other helper. With this command, what we are telling the helper, the program, is that the object class, I mean, what it will be looking for is a person, the account name that we wrote before on the echo command. It's going to compare that information with this command here. This is the account name. which in this case is Maria. So it's gonna take the value from whatever we wrote here up there, which in this case is Maria. It's going to compare if it is a member of the group, which is in this case level 1, the other value that we added there. It's going to find that group on this organizational unit. This is why it is important to create an organizational unit only for the groups um, that the Squid is going to be using, and that it's going to be looking for all that on the domain called mydomain.local, which is this IP address for the domain controller. So if it works, it should return with an OK message, unless there is a mistyping error. Okay, so it seems to be working fine. Let's see if I change the user. I know that John is not on the level 1, so it should return a message saying that there is an error. As you can see, there is the error. But if I type asking if John is part of the level 2 group, it should say that it's okay. Great. So we already tested the two helpers we are gonna be using, and this is the tricky part. Believe it or not, this is the trickiest part on authenticating a Squid with the Active Directory. So now that we understood this and we tested this, we can move on configuring a Squid. So if you do not have the Nano test editor, you can just like install it using John install Nano. Or if you want to install the graphical Unity interface to do the copy paste things, you can just do that as you wish. So I'm gonna be configuring Squid. This is the main configuration file for Squid, and it already has a minimum configuration which will basically work for you. Here we need to say what is your internal network address, which mine is this. This is really important that you have them, because if you do not use this access list, your Squid server will be most likely vulnerable, and malicious people can use this to to send spam mails and many other things. So let's keep going here. These rules we got here, I'm going to be deleting them because I want to add my own rules here. Okay, so what we will add first is the communication program with the Active Directory, and to do that we need to use the auth param basic program command. What we're telling Squid here is that it's going to use an authenticator program, and that program is located USR lab64 squid squid LDAP auth, and the same things we wrote before. Okay, so that's the command. If you have the graphical unit interface, it should be a lot easier for you because you can copy and paste the command we used before when testing, and you are sure that it will be working. I mean, you copy the command from after the pipe, starting from here to the end of the command, and you know it will be working, that you won't have any mistyping error. So the other command we need to specify Squid to use is this. What this do is basically um, telling a Squid how many helper processes it can use, which in this case is 5. 5 is the default value, so you can leave it like that and it will be working fine. Okay, here with this command we are telling a Squid to present this string, which is type here, when the little box asking for the username and password pops up on the browser. Okay, and with this command we are telling a Squid um, what is the toggle time for the credentials, which in this case is 15 minutes. The default value is actually 1 hour, so let's keep the default values. Now these are the commands you need to use for Active Directory communication. Now this is the Active Directory group membership commands. Okay, now we are using basically the same um, process as the other one. We need to specify here an external access list, which will use the parameters we used before when testing the group membership on the command line interface on the terminal. So to do that, to create an external access list, we use this command external access list type, and we name it as a normal access list. We name it as however we want. In this case, I'm going to name it LDAP group. I'm gonna be using this special command, which will get the username from whatever the user put here when authenticating. And then I'm going to be specifying the path where the helper is located. Note that if you can copy and paste, you can copy from the command line interface we were testing before. You can copy starting from here, from the /usr. Alright, so I hope that is okay, that there is no mistyping errors. That is the command, the external access list command that we need to tell Squid to use. As I was saying before, we need to create a group, an access list for each and every group we created. In our case, I have level 1, level 2, and level 3 groups. And to create those access lists, it is very simple. We use the command access list. We type the name of the access list. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to put level 1, and that will be the name for the access list. That's not the group name. The group name comes next. To specify the Squid that it's going to be using um, an external process to define this shit. Okay, so to tell Squid what will be the value of this access list, we are telling with this command that it's going to be using an external process. That external process is this one, the external access list we created, which is called LDAP group in this case. So whatever the name you put here, it's going to be now here. LDAP group. And now here is where we need to put the name of the group we have on the Active Directory, which in this case is level 1. So let me repeat this to get it right for you. We are creating an access list. This will be whatever the name of the access list you want it to be. If you want it to be L1 or your name or whatever, just type the access list name there. In this case, I put it level 1 to help me identify that it is this access list is from the level 1 group. So to tell this access list what will the value of it will be, we type this, which is telling the access list that it's going to be using an external process called LDAP group, which is this process we created here with the external access list type, and that the value it's going to be using this external access list type, this external process, it's going to be level 1. So remember when we were testing the LDAP group helper that we had to put a username and the group name. This is going to be the group name, and the username it's going to be this helper. It's going to get it from the authenticator here. So if you understood this, great. You can name as many access lists you want with the same process. This will be the access list for the level 2 group. Level 3, and level 3 access list. Okay, now the access list that will be defining the groups of the Active Directory are created. So now just create the access list you want. Okay, so I'm going to be creating a few access lists, um, which we'll be calling rule 1, Okay, so what I'm going to be doing here is the following, to keep it simple. I assume you already know how to create access list and how to um, make a Squid work. So in this case, I'm going to create three rules um, for the following. People from the level 1 group will have access to the internet except for Facebook.com. The people from level 2 will have access to the internet, but they will not be able to access YouTube. And people from level 3 will have access to the internet, but they will not be able to enter Twitter.com. So to do that, we use the HTTP access rule, specifying the following. Okay, so that's it. As you can see, I am creating these HTTP access rules saying that people from level 1 will have HTTP access, but they will not be able to navigate to whatever the rule 1 value is, which in this case is Facebook.com. People from level 2 will have access, but not to the rule 2 um, website, which is YouTube.com. And level 3 people will have access to the internet, but they will not be able to enter to Twitter.com, which is the rule 3 value. I always like to put this command at the beginning of the configuration file. HTTP port 3128. And there's also something very important you need to do is to specify a visible host name. Okay, so with this, it is almost done. Remember to deny all traffic at the end. So deny all traffic at the end of the line. And this is it. That's it. And now we can start Squid. Well, remember that you need to open the firewall port, the whatever the port you're using for Squid, which in this case is 3128. I like to use this command. Okay, so the port is there. We need to as well permit the HTTP access, and that's it. We save the changes, and now we are ready to start Squid. My bad. Okay, let's see what is the error here. It says rule 2 not found. So it must be an error, typo error. Rule 2. There it is. Okay, so Squid is running. Let's give it a try with this Windows XP machine. Remember that your default gateway of the client machines will be your internal network IP of the proxy server, which is on 242.140. This way you will prevent users to take out the proxy configuration from the browser and being able to navigate without this without the proxy. So if they take out the proxy information from the browser, they will not be able to navigate. You should probably um, modify your DHCP server. This is the DNS of the domain controller. So we type the proxy server IP address, the port it will be using. Let's close this and open it again. So here is the bots I was talking about before, where the message of the auth param basic realm command comes from. Please insert your Windows credential to navigate. So let's see with Maria's password. Mm,
Okay, it seems that there is a mistyping error on the configuration file. I'm gonna check it out, and as soon as I solve that, I'm going back here. Okay, so I found a typo error. This is why I recommend you to probably install the graphical Unity interface, to use the gedit, and to copy and paste the commands so that you don't have any errors after you test them on the terminal window. um, you will not have any errors. Yeah, whatever. So we say that Maria will not be able to enter to Facebook, I think. Oh wow. Yes, whatever, yeah. Mm-hmm. Finally. So Facebook, she cannot access Facebook, but she can access any other website, but not Facebook. Um, damn Internet Explorer. Let's open this again and let's see if John can access Facebook. It seems like he can, but he will not be able to access YouTube. And if we go to the Anthony account, he will be able to access YouTube and Facebook, but he will not be able to access Twitter. So this is it. Um, each and every user is being recognized by Squid, and they have only the privileges that you set on the configuration file. Um, Something that I should probably use differently, instead of the URL rejects command, I should have used the test domain command, because with this um, it might block some URLs that has this on them, although they are not from YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. So if you use the DST domain, DST domain, so with this it will be even more efficient. But it has a vulnerability, which is that if I find out what is the IP address of Facebook, I can access that website with the IP address. But you can um, work on that with the dst domain regex command. Now, that's not part of this video. I think everything is pretty clear. If you have any questions, please write them out on the comment section below. And if you find this helpful, please make a donation so you can help me um, gain the money I spent on the Squid book. I think it is. This is it. I apologize for my really bad English, but I think more people will get more use of this tutorial if it is in English. So this is it, and I hope this works out for you. Goodbye.